Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to For the Fan. This is episode number 133. As always, I am Will. We got Jake, Dom, and Colton here. Gentlemen, hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Howdy.
It's the end of the line here. It's the last four teams we go over on our great tour of the United States of America preview tour, and we get them all covered. All 32 teams we get to talk about at least at one point on this show, whether it's 9 minutes, Buccaneers, or it could be 25 minutes, Steelers. But we get it all covered. It's all there. It's all in its glory. But yeah, hey, last Final Four, some interesting teams. I gotta say, we somehow finished out with a very interesting division, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of made sense, I guess. Super Bowl winner, save him for last. I guess that makes sense, If that's
let's be honest. You just decided you didn't want to torture me this year.
Well, the wheel decided that.
Yeah, it was the fifth member. It was
because Don didn't grease the wheel.
It's the fifth member. Yeah, this year at least it was the fifth member.
But yeah, gentlemen, are we ready to get the show on the road here? AFC West. This is yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff going on here. And as always, you're listening to For the Fan.
You are listening to For the Fan.
Wow, I messed this up. Usually I talk about all the social media, so I'm going to plug them in right now. So follow us on YouTube or subscribe. I think that's the word. For the Fan Network, TikTok, For the Fan Network, Twitter, and/or X, For the Fan _, and Instagram, For the Fan Football. A lot of people joining in on TikTok right now. We got some viewers on Twitter, and I'm trying to patiently put in my quote tweet to say, hey, come watch us. But, it's just blank right now, and I haven't gotten to type it out. So
Live update.
Yeah. Live update, live tweeting updates, as always. But if you're joining us for the very first time, we start out with the worst team, and we work our way to the best. And coincidentally, this division, it's the Super Bowl winner, so we'll get to talk about them last, and Taylor Swift and the whole, saga about that. We have a whole section dedicated to that. Jake's been preparing nonstop for days, weeks, months, leading up to the segment.
Talking about it, actually.
I know, he actually has a Taylor Swift shirt underneath that shirt right there.
My most favorite human.
The Swifty's going to come out here. But we're going to start out in Los Angeles, where we have the Chargers. Okay, so Dom, you want to pull this up here? Thank you very much. Let's take this little piece down there. So a year ago, the Chargers, there was a lot of high hopes. They came off of a playoff berth in 2022, ultimately crumbled against the Jaguars. They were looking to get the offense jump-started, bringing in Kellen Moore, trying to add on to a defense that was already really good. Then the wheels kind of fell off. They lost to the Dolphins. They really go to the wire against the Vikings. It was really back and forth the entire season. Justin Herbert gets hurt. Keenan Allen gets hurt. And it was ultimately how the season ends there. But let's talk about a Thursday night game where, the Chargers got absolutely smacked. Was 66-21 or whatever the score was. But yes, Brandon Staley, the man in the upper left corner, my bad, fired and replaced by that man, the national champion from the Michigan Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh, in the hopes that maybe he can do some NFL magic like he did with the 49ers a decade ago in 2024. So what's interesting about these episodes, too, is it's the 53-man roster. So we get to actually see on paper what are they looking at post the day after the 53-man roster cuts are. So to the offense we go. Herbie fully loaded. He's still under center. They overhaul the running backs here. Austin Eckler goes to our nation's capital. They bring in his brother's running backs here, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, to be the 1-2 combo here for your Los Angeles Chargers. An overhaul on the receiving core. No more Mike Williams. No more Keenan Allen. Williams cut. He goes to the Jets. Keenan Allen gets traded to the Bears on dimes on the dollar, pennies on the dollar, next to nothing. But DJ Chark trying to revitalize his career after being not so big in the last couple of years, kind of like hiding in and out of like injuries and stuff like that. A lot of McConkey goes early in the second round to the Chargers. And another great piece I like, Brendan Rice, which is Jerry Rice's son. So maybe we can have another Hall of Fame receiver now playing out on the West Coast.
Well, yeah, I don't know how to feel about this team. Not to mention new head coach. Not to like everything about this, you can't take past knowledge and apply. Everything is new. I mean, this offense is an entirely new offense, top to bottom. Nothing's the same basically, except for Herbert, obviously. I don't know, man. I don't know. How do you go from Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, everything that we've known of the Chargers for the last 5 or so years to now, this. I don't know how to judge this offense or this team. So, yeah, I don't know. It's, to me, obviously not going to be as successful, I would think, on paper. But let's see, I guess, what they put together. I don't know.
I mean, we knew that they were going to go offensive line to draft because they better hope the strategy they're setting up works. They're going to have to run the ball and have that Harbaugh team running and running. It might be have to be more extreme than Michigan with a much better quarterback.
And they just traded for one of his former running backs there. Haskins. He comes now in, but who knows where he's going to be planted on this roster right now, because I know it's a weird time for every NFL team.
I mean,
it gives me a lot of like that 2011 San Francisco vibes where it's like, okay, yeah, you had your Michael Crabtree, which you could probably plug in McConkey or Chark into. You have a really good offensive line with the likes of like Staley, Boone up in the front there. I'm not saying Herbert's is like Alex Smith, but I don't know. It's just like he's not the man that has to be like, okay, yeah, I have to pass it 45, 50 times a game and try to drive the ball down the field myself. It's now a team effort instead of just an individual effort.
The thing is, at least they have good tackles.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it is who knows. But I mean, at least they have someone like Justin Herbert who can pull them out of bad situations with just his talent. They're probably going to need it.
And I would think that I know Brandon Staley's play calling and just in situational stuff really held this team back. I know we talk nothing but pretty much exclusively negative things about Brandon Staley.
For good reason.
Yeah, I lead that train, I'm sure. But there was a lot of instances where decision-making made no sense, play calling made no sense in certain situations where I really felt like it held back Justin Herbert. So I would like to think that is definitely, certainly not going to happen. But obviously we're not talking about the same guys catching the balls as those teams as well. So I really don't know. I have zero clue how I want to judge this team. I mean, I love J.K. Dobbins, but like we kind of still have yet to see what that could look like. I don't know. It's just tough, dude. I really have a impossible time coming up with what this team's going to do. Personally.
Yeah, it's probably the hardest team to judge, honestly, how they're going to do. Because
especially on paper. Like, you look at this team, you look at these receivers, no one's impressed.
Besides the fact that it's a new coach and it's basically a whole new receiving core.
Yeah.
New scheme. Even like what should be their star running back has been hurt every other year. And it's like a factor of, well, if this guy can stay healthy, a new scheme.
Yep. Yeah, I have no clue. So. And I don't hate any of it exactly. I just have no idea how it's going to go.
Hey, it worked in college.
Yeah. Colton, what do you got?
Hey, all the trust in the national championship winner and Jim Harbaugh. So I think this team, the biggest upgrade was coaching. That's kind of held this team back. You get one of the best tackles in the draft in Joe Alt. So again, I think he knows what he's building. It's going to be a process, and this is going to be a team that competes. That's the Jim Harbaugh thing. They compete, and they're going to come back next year. It's going to be like a build this team, keep Justin upright, and we'll go from there. That's what this team is.
That's kind of the vibes I thought. This is year one of a multi-year stage plan.
It is. Why are you going to go out and panic? Like, by the time that traded Keenan Allen, it's like, why'd you trade Keenan Allen away? Well, the thing is, they're not going to be ready for Keenan Allen by the time this thing gets up and run and this goes on the road. So you might as well trade, see what you can get, build the roster up. And you already got your quarterback, still young. So it's like, oh, shoot, you got 2 years left of Justin Herbert. No, they don't. They have 10 years left of Justin Herbert. So let them build this thing the right way. And he knows how he wants to build it. Build it with an offensive line, run the football, and you have a special quarterback in Justin Herbert. So, I mean, it's a Michigan thing. It's a Harbaugh thing. You transform quarterbacks. He's going to get Justin Herbert to the next level, just like he got Colin Kaepernick to the next level. So just like he got J.J. McCarthy to the next level. I mean, it's the same thing. He's going to do the same thing here. He's going to take Justin to the next level. You're just not going to see it this season. It's going to be next season when they finally bring in a legitimate receiver. And you never know. He may get the best out of Quentin Johnson, their former first-round pick out of TCU. Frogs. TCU. That's it. The Horny Frogs. The Horny Frogs. So I get something out of him. So I mean, and Joshua Palmer's a solid receiver. So that's done them some good there in LA. So I think this team's going to surprise people. But we all know who the king of this division is. Like, we're going to get to it. Where this is going. So it's a building process here for the Chargers.
I mean, if you hit on half of these decisions that you made, like, I mean, just like half of this roster that you brought in and stuff, if you have a hit on half of them with a quarterback like Justin Herbert, I think that's okay. I think that works for you. I think for this season, that's an accomplishment. I think you're good. I think that's just like, all right, now we're moving on to next season where it's going to get better, where it's going to, you need to establish some building blocks, obviously, and no one's looking at this receiving core and loving it right now. Mm-hmm. But, if you can make a decision by the end of the season, like, yeah, we really liked this guy. We're committing to this guy. Maybe McConkey's just, maybe that works out really well. And they might not be winning games, but they're accomplishing what they need to accomplish for the future, and I'm okay with that.
I think the main thing is, like, they want to keep Herbert upright, and they haven't been able to with Brian Bulaga, who left, and then Corey Lindsey retired early. So, capitalizing on Bozeman at center and Joe Wall, I think the main focus here is keeping them upright, and, you're going to get your running backs involved early, depending on how.
And I mean, the fact that they got Ladd McConkey is huge. He's probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in this draft. Clearly, you have your neighbors. I'm forgetting the other wide out on top of my Marvin Harrison Jr. Maserati Marv. So outside of those guys, a lot of people loved Ladd McConkey going through this draft process and everything.
He's going to be a stud.
The fact that they were able to – weren't they able to trade back and get him? Did they trade back?
I think so.
Right? Why do I feel like they traded back in the draft?
I mean, regardless, he's a really good between the hashes over the middle, move the sticks kind of guy, which if you can run the ball effectively and pick up third downs with him, it works.
I also don't mind Chark at all.
I mean, he has to still prove himself. I mean, ever since that 1 year in Jacksonville, he's not really been much of anything around the league.
But like, I don't mind that he's given this chance. He had speed. He wasn't not the most talented route runner. He was not the most physical receiver. But I mean, man, like, if you have flashes in a game and it works out, it works out. You're building this team right now with like house money. The expectations are low, so.
And they also didn't have a lot of money to work with because it was like, okay, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa all combined for like $100 million.
Than like actual financially. No. I just mean like the expectations.
This offense reminds me a lot of the Raiders from a few years ago when they had Renfro and like two good offensive linemen, to where they just had to run the ball with Jacobs and hope Hunter Renfro could pick up the third down.
See, I'm going to throw this up because this is what Josh just said. Right?
I don't think that's true whatsoever.
I don't think that's true whatsoever either.
I mean,
he's not going back to get sanctioned.
He's
just gonna prove like I should have never been out of the NFL. I got fucked by the Niners. I was forced to leave. I went to Michigan. Blah 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 blah. I won a national championship. Now I'm back, and I'm gonna stay here till I decide. You know what? I'm done coaching.
So I said this years ago. Jake might remember this. I said this years ago on the show, actually, with at least Jake and Will. When the Raiders hired John Gruden, it might have been his second year. I said this is a plan. It's not an immediate like success. Like you signed him as your head coach. We're building this team pretty much almost from the ground up. You have a quarterback, yeah. You've made all the changes in the world on this offense. Like this is a plan for years, not this year we're going to succeed. No one's saying that. You know, Harbaugh's probably not saying that. Like you got to think of this team with lower expectations, the expectations to be, okay, Harbaugh's here. This is a serious head coach like Gruden was, or expected to be at least.
Well, he was, and then the NFL kind of said, we don't want you here.
But, you know, you got to expect this to be a plan. He's got a plan. This will last years. That's just how it is. That's how it goes, you know, and we haven't even started the first year of that plan, so.
Let's jump into the defense here because I know we've been sitting on the offense here for a big chunk of time.
This is a notable offense.
I know, and then the tight ends too, and we didn't even get to talk about this, but
they're good tight ends. Boom, done.
Yeah, so the additions on here are Poona Ford at defensive line, Bud Dupree at linebacker, Troy Dye at linebacker, Denzel Perryman returns after a really, 8-year hiatus from there, and then you got Christian Fulton at corner. They made an acquisition for a cornerback today from the Titans who was a starter for most of the season last year. I can gladly get the name up here really quick. And there it is. Defensive back Elijah Molden. So fresh start for him. They just try to rebuild this team as much as they can. Whenever money frees up, it frees up. So
I don't mind this defense because you have guys. You have Khalil Mack. You have Derwin James. You have Asante Samuel. You have Joey Bosa, kind of. Like, Khalil Mack was great last year. I don't know if you guys remember the stretch.
Where How can I forget Khalil Mack? Because the first snap that Brandon Staley had on defense, he put Khalil Mack up against Tyreek Hill in the slot. How could I forget? How could I forget Khalil Mack last year?
Okay. Well, that's not the stretch I was talking about, obviously. But that's
still to this day the fact that man had a head coaching job in the NFL.
6 sacks by Khalil Mack against the Raiders. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, he had a really solid stretch last year. Yeah, he's not a shell of himself yet. But there's guys on this team. Like this is a competent defense, I think. So
this team is deep at edge rusher.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. Good thing I'm not playing offensive line or quarterback for that matter.
Like this team's got a kind of terrifying front, to be honest. Khalil Mack. I hate to say Joey Bosa. I hate to put Joey Bosa.
Joey Bosa is good, but like, when was the last time he played a full healthy season?
Yeah, that's like kind of
like if you get 5 games out of Joey Bosa.
It's like why I liked the Chargers so much last year is they had the weapons on offense and the defense was really good. They just always get hurt.
Yeah.
And then Brandon Staley's an idiot.
Well, I'm forgetting the kid's name. He's behind Joey Bosa. He played really good for them last year. It's
Tuli
kid. I don't even want to pronounce his last name. I watched Brian Baldinger try to do it, and I chuckled to myself, and I'm like, oh, Baldy.
I love Baldy.
Baldy's breakdown, so I appreciated his efforts there. But the fact that you have him and you have Bud Dupree as backing up these two guys, like that played really well for them last season. That's why, like, I know from a Baldy breakdown, like watching him, and then like I'd watch a Charger game, like, oh, he's in the backfield again. That's a really good player. So they have 4 legitimate like guys that can come in and get the quarterback. So this is gonna be a defensive team. This is literally written up like a Jim Harbaugh team. Defense and run the ball. And then you have decent quarterback play to go along with it, which he has here, where it took him a few years at Michigan to get that decent quarterback play to put him over the edge with J.J. McCarthy. Now he has it with Herbert.
One of the more underrated pieces, though, here is Tony Jefferson, who was kind of like been out of the league for the last 2 years. He comes in, and Trey Lance essentially secures him a 53-man roster spot after his 5 interception performance to conclude the preseason. So I'm happy that Tony Jefferson's back in. I know he was at one point a Cardinal, and then he was a Raven, and then kind of like out of the league due to injuries. Now he's back. Hopefully he stays healthy because he's a very fun defensive back to watch. He's a part of that like other era of like defensive backs, not like your Ed Reeds or your Dawkins, but he's kind of like that in between like 2010s ones, just before your Derwin Jameses.
He wasn't on the Niners Harbaugh team, right? Like, no chance.
No, Tony Jefferson wasn't.
That was way too many years ago. Yeah. All right.
I mean, he was on the other Harbaugh, but not that one.
You're fair.
So let's look at the one. Like, let's move on to the schedule here. I can read it. So this is
a bad schedule. Yellow is away, white is home.
I really like week 1. That is like a very telltale matchup for both the Chargers and the Raiders. Not gonna like, hey, solidify the season, but it's like Antonio Pierce who fought his way, and the players fought his way to get him a head coaching position. Harbaugh returns back, and yeah, that's an excellent week 1 matchup.
We're gonna learn a lot about both teams week 1. That's nice.
Yeah, this is
Mania 2.0.
This is such a great schedule start for this team, like to gain its legs by the time it goes home to play Kansas City. Like, this is a like the Raiders, Panthers, okay, like kind of pretty much bottom tier-ish teams. You have 2 weeks to kind of figure your stuff out, gain your legs on this team. Then you play the Steelers, which obviously isn't Kansas City, but is more of a challenge than those two teams. And then you play Kansas City. So, like, these first 4 weeks is kind of a build-up, and we kind of get to see what this team is by their bye week. And then
this team could be interesting. When you look at the schedule, if they can somehow stay relevant, like under Harbaugh, 15 on, they could win all those games.
They could go 500.
And like Harbaugh's never lost a season as an NFL coach too. Like he's never had a losing season. Like
if you look at the back end of that schedule, if they were somehow to stay relevant and in it, this could be a wild card team. Like with the improvement of head coach, you have a special quarterback. Like if you have a really good season out of Ladd McConkey, and somehow Quentin Johnson gets going, and they somehow keep their running backs upright. Look at that back end of the schedule. I mean, outside of the Chiefs game there, week 15 on, they can win out those games and possibly go on a run to make the postseason.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, like, I don't think they're going to make a splash in the postseason. I don't think they're going to be better than some teams that don't make playoffs if they do. But this schedule puts them in a place where they could call this a wild card team.
This is a bad schedule. That's why.
This is a really it's a great schedule.
Easy schedule. It's
balanced.
Very balanced.
They have their tough games like the Chiefs. Chiefs games. You have the Falcons. You have the Bengals. You have the Ravens in there and the Browns. Like they have a few.
It'll stretch.
It's a balanced schedule.
9-13 minus the Titans is pretty rough, but
having to play the Chiefs on the road in December, the Patriots especially on the road in December, depending on when that game's played, day wise.
They're not Miami. They're going to run the ball.
Yeah,
I know. I don't want to watch another Chargers game where they win 6-0 against the Patriots. Like they just ran up the score on the second field goal there.
There is pretty much exactly 7 days between each and every game after that bye week. So like the bye being early is not really too much of an issue because you don't have any short rest times between any of these games. Like every single game is 7 days pretty much, or even 1 or 2 more. So like you won't have any of those kinds of issues. I don't know. I think this team has a ton of travel though. I think I saw that this team travels more than any other team in the league this year.
Look, they got to go to the East Coast. What? Steelers, Eastern time zone. Browns, Eastern time zone. Falcons, Patriots. Carolina.
But they have the days. Like I really don't think the bye week being week 5 is too much of a. If anything, that gives them time early to adjust to playing like that 4-game stretch that I said, which will show a lot, and then they play an easy or divisional game against the Broncos. Yeah, Cards. I mean, like, if you guys had to put a number, where are we at?
500.
500, pretty much.
9. There's no such thing as 500 anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm counting both either direction of 9.
Jake has chalked up a tie somewhere in the schedule, but he won't be revealing where it is.
That's fine. You know what?
Week 18. It's like you know what?
They're the tie on the schedule.
Week 18. It's the Raiders. It's the Raiders thing, but Brandon Staley's not an idiot, and they'll actually tie this time. That's what it's going to be.
They'll bring everything full circle, and they can move forward.
That's how it is.
The curse will be broken.
That's exactly how it happens. That was Raiders Chargers, right?
Yeah, it was.
And then Brandon Staley's like, nah.
Yeah, the greatest Week 18 game of all time. Sorry, there's never been one better.
Yeah.
I remember staying up till like 1 in the morning, like 12:30, because that game went like super late.
Because it was overtime, and it was like
they had triple zeros.
No, that was Versace. He was like, yeah, so let's tie. And then Brandon Staley was like, yeah, okay, bro. And then ruined it for everyone.
So set this episode off on the wrong foot on spending long on teams. We talked about possibly the third place team in this division.
This is an interesting team.
The rest of them don't have much to talk about. They really don't.
Like, this is one of the most interesting teams we've talked about.
We can just the Broncos. Oh, I can't wait to hammer.
Oh, let's go Mile High here.
I'm scared of the Broncos.
Let's go there. We're gonna join the Mile High Club right now as your Broncos a year ago. Yes, I saw Jake. He instantly twitched his head around. He's like, he just said what I thought he just said.
Oh, there we go. I'm ready. Colton, are you?
So a year ago, it was I don't know, not really more so like question marks. They trade a first-round pick and I believe an extra draft pick to acquire Sean Payton to be the head coach after the disaster of Nathaniel Hackett kind of broke the Broncos down very, very badly. Russell Wilson's play improved. They kind of looked like they were going on the right foot there. And then a Saturday night in Detroit, they got absolutely stomped, and Russell Wilson was essentially benched, trying to get him to remove his bonuses, injury bonuses, all that stuff from his contract. They let him go. And, well, here we are, the heir to the Denver throne. Their first-round quarterback since Paxton Lynch, if we want to go that far back. Wow. Oh, yeah, it's been a while for Denver ever since Peyton Manning retired, and here we are. Bo Nix, quarterback 1.
They had a bunch of year twos, right? Like Trevor Siemian and stuff.
They don't ever. Yeah. They always buy in. Even Elway wasn't drafted by them, I don't think.
Yeah, he was a Colt. So looking at the offense here, Bo Nix is your quarterback 1. A lot of overhauls. Samaj P. Ryan got released. Javonte Williams is returning. Hopefully he can get back to what he was his rookie year, second year. Forgot what year he blew out his knee. Jaleel McLaughlin, they're expecting a big year from. What I'm kind of like questioning on is the receiving core here, because there's only 5 guys that they do have on the 53-man roster right now. Tim Patrick was released, and I don't think Tim Patrick was picked up by a team yet.
He is. He's on the Detroit practice squad.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, him and Allen Robinson are on the Detroit practice squad. So this leaves Marvin Mims, Josh Reynolds, who I actually forgot was on this team. Cortland Sutton, who's looking for a new deal, might not be there after this year. Troy Franklin, another guy from Bo Nix. And then, And then you got question marks at tight end, too, because I don't even know if Greg Dulcich is even going to, like, pan out, because he just has a hamstring injury, like, every 6 weeks or so. Comes back from one and hurts it again.
This is the weirdest built team to start it like I've ever seen. Why do you need 4 tight ends? Why do you need 4 running backs? We know why you need 3 quarterbacks. And then you just said, nah, we don't need receiver depth at all. I don't even understand.
Genius, awesome, amazing coach, Sean Payton. Mr. GM himself.
This is kind of weird. I don't like
the Denver Saints. He's trying to recreate what he had there.
The Denver Saints. What the heck is this, bro? It's weird as hell is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like the offensive line. Garrett Bowles and McGlinchey anchor the tackles. Ben Powers they did bring in last year. Trying to see what they got in like Wattenberg and Menirez.
I think they'll efficiently run the ball.
If Javonte Williams is healthy, because like if you remember 2022, Williams was really good running the ball, and then he blew his knee out really early, and that was kind of like the end of it. Like if he could return back to that form, I think they could be really good running the ball, especially with McLaughlin, who really picked up a big role last year in the receiving game. So
this really makes me think of the Panthers from last year, where it's just like but they didn't even do a good job running the ball either.
Mm-hmm.
They also had no pass game. Essentially, it felt like I don't even know. I
have more faith in Bryce Young than Bo Nix.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't know what this team is and how to judge this team.
There was no circumstance that Bo Nix should have been a first-round quarterback. Zero.
He is a starter week 1. So.
Yeah, he beat Jared Stidham, the guy who's known for one good game in college, and Zach Wilson, the guy who's known for one throw in the combine.
It wasn't the combine; it was his pro day.
Oh,
so he had his altitude to it. So I mean, he fits pretty good up there to match the Utah.
Oh, there you go.
So they could just roll out and bomb one up.
I don't know. I really have zero. I thought I didn't know how to judge the Chargers. I
know exactly how to judge this team. Bad.
Yeah,
real bad.
I'm trying to look for positives, and I'm not finding that many. Other than I think you can efficiently have a decent run game, but you need the run and pass to support each other. And I don't know what we're doing in the pass game, and I think it's kind of assumed that this team gets rolled over in a lot of cases.
It's not even like they don't even have a single receiver who can win one-on-one.
I say Cortland Sutton, but then
Cortland Sutton, he's been
consistent. A number
safely, 2. Well, I don't know. It's safely, consistently 1,000 yards every year. I think he's a good receiver, honestly. And that's a miss. Receiver rooms that were not panning out whatsoever for some reason, which I could only think also had to do with coaching and quarterback play. But you don't even have nice supporting tight ends. I don't think the run game will support it, but you can only do so much with that.
This is set up for failure for Bo Nix, in case you're wondering.
Oh, 1 billion percent.
I think even if he was set up for success, it would be mediocre. But
yeah, this is set up for failure for Bo Nix. I think you're 100%. It's set up for failure for all 3 of these quarterbacks. I feel like
best case scenario. This gets Sean Payton fired.
I was going to say this is. I mean, I don't even need to look at the defense. I don't need to look at anything regarding this team. This is Sean Payton's grave. He dug it. He's going to bury himself in it. He's going to do the old SpongeBob. Whoop! Pull the dirt right over his freaking head because he's gone after that. This is the nail in the coffin.
You just had to. You didn't like Russell Wilson for whatever reason. You just had to excommunicate him. You just couldn't.
He threw 26 touchdowns and 8 picks last year.
Mm-hmm. And that's good.
This whole team is the problem. It wasn't Russ. You can blame Russ. This is I think this is, I don't know if the thing is, I don't think he gets fired after this year. It's going to be the excuse, I think, is why they drafted Bo Nix, is that he has a rookie quarterback there. Oh, whoa, you got to give me one more year.
So after this year, Cortland Sutton, not after this year, he goes on, he plays this season, then he has his last year on this contract, so he'll need a new contract. I can guarantee you he wants nothing part of this team. They're going to negotiate. It's not going to happen. And Cortland Sutton
traded somewhere. I don't know where he will go, but
best case scenario for him. You know what? That's probably what happens because he's not.
Best case scenario for him is to get traded out and he goes to Buffalo, so at least he is the lone good pass catcher they have up there.
Well, I don't think that happens this season. I think it'll happen in the offseason.
I do. I think depending on the schedule, I don't know how it looks.
Well, I think he'll want it, but I don't think they're going to do that.
I think it could happen.
I think you get traded.
Again, would be stupid because you're setting up.
Oh, then it's going to get way
failure because who the hell is he throwing the football to?
Do you have a number 2? I don't even think you have a number 2 receiver on this team. I think it's
not even a number 1.
I like Sutton. I do like Sutton. I think
not as a 1. I don't like Sutton as a 1. I think Sutton's good. Not as a 1.
He's a bottom 10 1 in the league, but I still think he's a 1.
They have a
what'd you say?
What?
I think he's a bottom 10 receiver 1 in the league, but I think he's still a 1. Out of the 32
okay.
All right. Out of the 32 receiver 1,
I thought you called him a low, in the top 10 range, in the 10 to 20 range receiver in the league. I was very concerned for your health. I was about to ask Jake to give a little tap in the face, all right?
Dom?
No. What?
Number 2s.
See, but I think he can hold it up a lot. I mean, when you put up 1,000 yards every season, I think you can't just calling him straight.
I like Cortland Sutton. I do.
Yeah.
I'm no hate on Cortland Sutton. This is also set up for failure for Bo Nix.
1,000,000,000%. I mean that. What?
I was going to say, let's shift over to the defense. We've been on this offense for way too long.
Answer, it's set up for failure. Done.
All right. So this defense here, they acquired John Franklin Myers during the draft from the Jets. They also add Cody Barton, Levi Wallace, Mr. Toast is what Colton called them that one episode.
God, that's where he ended up? Oh, this is set up for failure. This is the worst.
This team's really not good.
And then Brandon Jones. But they also did lose a lot. Josie Joel goes to Carolina. Well, I shouldn't even say a lot because they lost Fabian Moreau, Quan Williams. It really is just Josie Joel, so it's just the middle, just the linebackers here that they got to just.
And like concussion dude from last year got traded halfway through the season. What's his name?
Oh, Kareem Jackson. He was on the Bills and then he got cut. So.
Thank God.
Oh, you just mean the dirty player? Yeah,
like he was
the headhunter.
He was too dirty for Buffalo.
Dude, I'm not even gonna.
And the thing is, this links with trading Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, I mean that's all you got on this team on this defense.
Oh, yeah, and they also lost. Who's the safety that they released? Crap.
Justin Simmons.
Yeah, for some reason I thought.
Bro, I don't.
Justin Simmons was a linebacker and it was Isaiah Simmons, so I was like, oh no, like botching it. But there's nothing really much on this.
This is the last place team in the division. I'll bet everything I have on it.
This is the last place team in the league.
This team picks 1 or 2 next year.
Yeah, dude, this is like
That's what he should have did. He should have sold John Elway. Like, yeah, dude, I'm not taking Bo Nix just to take a quarterback.
Elway's not there anymore. Elway's been like out of that for like a couple of years now. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Elway's not there.
This happens when Denver sucks ass.
The GM is George Payton.
Oh, this is Walmart, right? Is this Walmart?
No, well, that's the owner. But
he owns them.
That's a Walmart team. This is 100% a Walmart team. This is it right here. This is a Walmart
great value brand football team.
Walmart.
Yeah, that's the core to this team. Great value. Great value roster. It's a great value roster.
Great value NFL team. John Elway ran away when the stadium caught fire. This is
he needed to run away. Yeah,
Elway ran away. I think they just didn't re-up his contract. Like it expired, and they just said, you know what,
they ousted him.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you gave us Drew Lock. Get out.
Speaking of give me the schedule, please. I don't want to spend any more because I'm already starting to stank from Levi Wallace on this schedule. So, like, please.
Oh, this schedule. Oh, Dom, where'd you pull this one out of?
Oh, you know what? I had to turn this as the first one. No. I had a choice.
What are you doing to me?
This is so funny. I had a choice between this and literally a worse one. And so I just want you guys to know that it could have even been worse than this.
I think I would like to see the worst one.
Oh, it was bad.
So Geno Smith, 8 touchdowns, 575 yards, week 1, and that's the end of the season there.
Bro, I mean,
Russ gets to ride back into town and piss on the Broncos. It'd be
2 or 3 wins.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I'm normally like pretty generous in doing these. Like, I could see that, and I just count it as a win. I have 3.
Week 8 is their first opportunity, possibly of one.
I have wins. And that's even giving them.
I mean,
oh my God, they may not win a game this season.
That's giving them one of the Chargers games.
They may not win a game this season.
God, I know. Last year I made fun of the Raiders and I just said 4, like off the rock, because Dom's like, okay, how many wins do we got? And I just said 4.
I'm going 2.
Yeah,
I think 2 might be the most generous thing for the Broncos.
Yeah, well,
they win the Panthers and then split against the Raiders, and we call it a day.
No. They beat the Browns because who knows what's going to happen at quarterback there? If it's Jameis or Deshaun or DTR,
they're all better than this.
Yeah, I had them winning their home games against the Raiders and Chargers, and then beating Carolina.
And this team is not holding up against that Browns defense. Will this offense, especially by that,
Myles Garrett's going to make Bo Nix his child. He's going to just drag him along. Next team, please. I don't want to talk about this crap show anymore.
let's talk about a team that was really interesting to watch after a coaching firing last year. Your Las Vegas Raiders, where a year ago they ousted Derek Carr from the quarterback position, basically held all the statistical records for the Raiders. They let him go to New Orleans. They bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's kind of where like the experiment's gone sour and haywire. Yeah, it wasn't really that good. They fired Josh McDaniels after he couldn't really speak up during a coach's meeting or whatever. The players were just like grilling the fuck out of him. And, well, they land with a very good piece here. Well, I mean, Max Crosby is a good piece, but I'm going to get us out of here. They land with a very good piece here with Antonio Pierce, the interim guy who becomes the head coach. The players fought for him and all that stuff because, you know, a couple years ago, the Raiders messed up because they didn't get the guy that the players wanted, the interim guy that helped them get over the hump and into the playoffs with Rich Bisaccia. They do it right this time with Antonio Pierce. And, well, there are a couple questions here on this offense if we want to go into there. So, Gardner Minshew.
Before you get going, I do love that, like, the star of the team, Max Crosby's like, if you fire this guy this time, I'm out.
Yeah. Devontae Adams probably would have been out.
Like all the major veterans of this team would have just said, yep, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not doing it. But Gardner Minshew wins the QB1 spot. Yeah, they get Brock Bowers. So really they got a lit tight end room there with Brock Bowers, who was tight end 1 this year, Michael Mayer, who was essentially the tight end 1 to the 2023 draft. Add some couple pieces on the offensive line. Yeah. The only thing I really got a question is running back. I did like Zamir White down the stretch when Josh Jacobs wasn't in. He did play really well, but after Zamir White, it's kind of like, how far down can you go?
Yeah.
Wait, Andres Pete still playing?
Yeah. Believe it or not, he's still playing. I don't know how, but he's still in the league. He's still kicking it. Yeah, I really think the biggest question here is the running back spot. I do like the offensive line. It is, you know, kind of good. It has the pieces there.
It's better than it was at any time under Derek Carr.
It's true.
But yes,
well, they got centers in the draft out of the 2 guys. So I thought Jack Powers is JPJ was one of the best coming out of Oregon in the draft. That's why I really wanted the Steelers to get, and they got the second guy in Zach Frazier. So, again, you got to build this thing, and they kept the right coach. This is going to be a team that competes. They're a quarterback away from taking that leap. This could be the Dak Prescott winner next season. This could be the Dak Prescott lottery ticket for the Raiders to then take the jump if they're not going to decide to keep and pay Dak in Dallas, since they're deciding to pay everybody. They're going to do that. But this could be the Dak winner here in Vegas.
I mean, like, the running backs aren't atrocious. So, like, okay. And the O-line, you know, I mean, if the O-line's good, the running back's going to be competently decent. And then, like, you obviously have Devontae Adams. Jacoby Myers is really not bad. I mean, he's had nice stretches of actually being like a number 2 or like a great number 3. The rest, you know, I mean, like, this team will put offense up. Not every game, but like they'll compete, like you said. Yeah,
the Minshew experience. You're gonna have games where they put up a like, holy cow, this team could be great, and then the next week's like, oh boy, it's the Minshew experience.
Yeah, that's Minshew in a nutshell.
100%.
I mean, I don't hate O'Connell either, but it's not like.
But you know,
you're not. It's like just
Devontae Adams loves O'Connell too.
I mean, he's. I think his ceiling's higher than his floor is higher than Minshew.
Yeah.
Minshew just has those every once in a while those games where he goes nuts.
Like, as long as you keep Devontae Adams happy, he'll keep you in games. Like, it's weird because he's not as much of a diva as some of the other guys, but like he can be if you let him be. And I feel like the Raiders do a lot to make him happy because it is like their dude. Like, if without him, what is this team on offense? So like, yeah, but if they can keep that up, team could stay in games. I mean, like, you could have a future. So
it's not like the team's like good because like I was looking at like the defense, just trying to get some like thoughts around it, the offense. But it's like you have a guy like Antonio Pierce that the players want to play for.
Yeah.
You know, you got like your Harbaugh, you have those guys that they want to play for these coaches. I think he's going to get more than what these players are really like they're doing.
Well, and you have
that's kind of what I'm
Max
saying.
Crosby on your side, who is like the guy.
And as long as you keep Devontae on your side too, like if you can keep dudes like Devontae and this team motivated, I think it's competing almost every week. You know, let's look at the defense though.
Yeah, so shifting over to the defense here, still anchored by Max Crosby, who had a knee injury really early into the season, played through it. I think he was still a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Isn't it so crazy to think he was a 4th-round pick? And if you just hear the name, you're like, oh, was this guy a 1st-round pick? And then you tell him who the 1st-round pick actually was that same year, and it's just Clelin Ferrell, who was supposed to go in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Put that into perspective there. Yeah, Christian Wilkins, comes in from Miami. That's really the only notable free agent acquisition. The
New England to Oakland Vegas pipeline
always will.
In Jack Jones.
Jack Jones was cut, and then he really emerged the last month of the season. He had that great, like, weird interception on Easton Stick that Thursday night football game, and he also returned, I think, 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs on Christmas Day.
Tell you what, like, this defense it's better than Broncos, that's for freaking sure. This defense is not bad. This is, again, it's not like amazing, but like
it's a defense that they want to play for. It's a coach they want to play for. And Malcolm Kuntz, I think he's going to have a big emergence of a year. Devine Diablo showed flashes last year.
And
if anyone's going to get I'm not trying to say like Jack Jones is like trouble though, but if Pierce is going to get him back on the right track because he was a part of him at Arizona State when he was there for that brief time. So he's going to get these players back onto the correct track, the correct way.
I don't mind this defense. I think this is going to be such a middle of the road team, but like Colton said, they'll compete like all the time. And like, they're not going to have a lot of wins. They're not going to have all the losses either, but they're going to compete. Like, you're not going to walk in here and roll over them. But
this team has the ability to destroy other teams' hopes in the playoffs who are on the cusp or are in it and they get knocked out of it. Like, this is that type of
This
team.
is not a team I want to play at the end of the season. Let's just when we look at the schedule, we'll see who they play at the back end. This is not a team I want to play at the end of the schedule.
As long as it's still on track. As long as everyone's still motivated, as long as it's still going, as long as the train's still rolling.
The way they made a big deal about keeping Antonio Pierce, that train better be on the track.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be like McDaniel where, he couldn't even speak during a team meeting and all the players started grilling the hell out of him. So, like, Pierce is going to be a guy who can speak up and say his voice because, he's a coach and not, a guy who can't last two years as a head coach.
See, there's a big thing that there's been glossing over. Like, they have a big X factor on defense, especially with the defensive line. Like, a guy like Tyree Wilson right now is a backup. Like, that's a guy last year who should have been in the defensive rookie of the year conversation out of the draft and really had the typical Raiders 1st round rookie year of just picking a guy and falling in his face. Like, that's an immensely talented dude who should be starting opposite Max Crosby that, because of the moves they made, is backing up. If they get any sort of real double-digit contribution out of him,
Christian Wilkins ain't bad too. Add him
their line is a lot better than it was.
I think they could really add a rotation piece, like how the Niners do, the Jets do. Oh hey, I mean, you're not going to take Max Crosby off the field though, but oh hey, Malcolm, get out. We're going to put in Tyree and fresh legs. That's
what I'm saying. They makes them deeper just because of a guy should be taking a jump that didn't have the greatest rookie year.
And this is a team effort team too. So it's you could do things this is going to be an interesting season for the Raiders for sure. I think Raiders fans are kind of happy with where it's going too. So okay.
Well, it's because their coach is the most Raider coach of all time.
I mean, everyone in Raider Nation, team and fans are happy. which is a rare thing for Raider Nation. So right now, we'll see by week 3, but
I like it, but
yeah.
either way,
we'll see by week 1 actually. So let's just go over to the schedule here, and the Chargers week 1. That is the biggest matchup on the schedule. It's a telling point for Pierce, as now instead of interim head coach, it's just head coach, and then Harbaugh, who returns to the league. I don't mind this schedule. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. I say it's a nice, middle of the road kind of one.
It's kind of tough, but
I think it was a tough schedule with the AFC North this year.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
you look at December though, you play the Chiefs on Black Friday. You're gonna play the Buccaneers, and who knows what happens in the NFC South. You play the Falcons again. Who knows what's gonna happen in the NFC South? They're just playing the Southeast United States for 4 straight weeks.
Literally.
But yeah,
I mean, it's going to be. I think we can decisively say that the Broncos are number 4. This team's number 3. Chargers are number 2, and obviously the Chiefs are number 1 in this division. I feel like we can all agree that that's kind of decisively where we're putting these teams.
I would put Raiders, depending on that week 1 game. I would have them 2-3. They're split. Either way.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be a coin flip. I would agree with the head coaching experience. I would go with the Chargers too, but the roster isn't fantastic. It's definitely a work in progress. But the thing is, it's a quarterback-driven league. So, I mean, if you're going quarterback ranked 1 through 4, that's how your division usually goes. So, I think it's probably the Chargers. This schedule's brutal, though. Holy
I really think this team can sneak away. You could put a number on it, but I feel like these players are going to play so hard for Pierce that they're going to exceed whatever expectation you put on them.
They got a lot of wins that they shouldn't have last year.
Yeah. It's going to be teams like the Rams that they really compete against. The Broncos, obviously. Even Miami, I could feel like that could be an upset. Falcons, Jaguars. There's teams on here that will not that.
If they don't get the Tua, I don't see. When I look at this schedule, I got playing hard. That only gets you so far.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Dolphins as a possible upset, which I could see that. Again, if Max Crosby's getting home and Christian Wilkins a little revenge game, if those guys get home, it's going to be a long day. If they can't get the Tua, they're screwed. Yeah. Their back end is going to get lit up like the 4th of July by Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And Odell Beckham's going to be back at that point. They're going to get lit up. When I see the schedule, this is a holy cow. I can give them 2 wins going up to week 11. This is bad. Sure, the Chargers, coin toss, and the Panthers outside on the Broncos. Outside of that, who are they beating in here? Sure, the Steelers they could beat. They're not beating the Browns. They're not beating Baltimore. They're not beating the Bengals. They're not beating the Chiefs, I think. I know it's a division game, so you throw those, split them every year is usually the rule of principle there. But what are they getting wins the start of the season? Holy cow. This is probably a 6-7 win team max. It's kind of where I'm at.
Last year's team went 2 in the division, I think. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of a 7-win team, and then
that's right.
Maybe they surprise us here and there. Maybe it's an 8-9 win. I feel like is kind of the ceiling. At the most, we get a couple surprises, but yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. We are where we are with this team.
I think it's time to talk about it that everyone only cares about as far as the AFC West.
Yeah, can we do the 5-minute segment now?
Yeah, just talk about Taylor.
Because it doesn't matter.
All right. Yep. Jake's been preparing this for. Oh, that's not me. That's on Jake. I don't know why you're zooming in on me. Jeez. Okay. So you go back a year ago, the Chiefs, some question marks going on into the season at wide receiver. Kelsey gets a little banged up before the season. What's his face? Kadarius Toney's going to do? What's Sky Moore going to do? What's this guy going to do? They lose, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, all this stuff. And it looked like the Chiefs were not going to go very far in the playoffs. They still end up winning the division, but the whole question mark came into can Mahomes win on the road in the playoffs? Because the only time he's on the road is the Super Bowl and this and that. He goes into Buffalo. They get by Buffalo. Then they upset against the Ravens in Baltimore. And then they go down to Las Vegas again where, that Chiefs fan buried the Chiefs flag underneath the stadium. And they come in, they win one of the most exciting Super Bowls of recent history. Longest one, might I add there. But yes, Mahomes and company, back-to-back Super Bowl winners. The first time a back-to-back Super Bowl winner has been crowned since the Patriots in 2003 into 2004. And this team is looking to become the first NFL team to ever three-peat a Super Bowl. And we've seen in other sports, the Islanders for hockey, the Lakers in basketball. But yeah.
There's a lot more hockey teams you could have listed off there.
I think so.
I was like Edmonton was on there and
two and two.
Yeah.
They never three-peated.
But then you have like all the original 6 teams too.
Yeah, I forgot Montreal won like 17 in a row because they were the only team playing.
No, they had like a 4 in a row after expansion.
Yeah,
I was just kind of listing off like the most recent teams here.
I mean, you have the Bills.
Yeah, they 4-peat lost, so
In the Bills' way possible.
Yeah.
But looking at the offense here, they get their speedy guy on offense. They get Xavier Worthy. They bring in Hollywood Brown. Question marks if Hollywood Brown's going to be available to play week 1 because he suffered a weird injury that's only seen in car crashes. So it's kind of a weird way of going about his shoulder collarbone injury, however that was. Then you have Rashee Rice, who had that weird incident in Dallas where, it was a hit and run. He ran away from the car. So that's still trying to be resolved. But they bring back in Juju Smith-Schuster, who was really good for them the very first Super Bowl run that they had back, 2 years ago. Mecole Hardman returns. He was the savior of the franchise, catching the game-winning touchdown. Then you kind of got some question marks at the offensive line. Left tackle, I forgot who they had there last year. Oh, Donovan Smith, Mr. Hold, Mr. Jump guy, get 3 steps on, before the snap gets off. But they bring in Kingsley from BYU to be the blindside guy for Mahomes. So Mahomes, Kelsey, Taylor Swift, Pacheco. And let's see if the newcomers can do anything. Worthy, Hollywood Brown. Also, how can I forget here? The rookie of the year. You don't even need to look it up anymore. Carson Steele, undrafted guy, fullback. Man's going to do a lot of wonders this year. Yeah, my rant's over.
I knew you were getting the Carson Steele. It's bad that I knew you were going to end with that.
I was actually going to hype him up to begin with.
I know you this much.
I was going to hype him up to begin with. They have, and then a man who's played in the preseason, a lot of highlights about him. You see him all over Twitter and Facebook. It's Carson Steele.
I should have muted you before you said it because I knew, I just know you from doing these podcasts over the years with you. I knew you couldn't help yourself but talk about Carson Steele. God almighty.
Roy,
you drive me nuts. You drive me nuts, dude. I'll give you that. But yeah, I mean, this team from the talks of having no wideouts to there's weapons for him now. That's kind of been the talk the last few years is, who's he throwing the ball to outside of Kelsey? Oh, he's got guys he's throwing the ball to now. So,
who's that idiot on ESPN?
All of them.
The guy that I absolutely hate.
I'll just say which one.
All of them. Every single person who employed
the fantasy guy?
Absolutely.
I don't.
Clay.
Listen, these fantasy people, listen. I only know Matthew Berry. And there's no one.
It's Eric Carabella, something like that. ESPN released this post of people you should not draft in fantasy, and that this guy put 20 players on there. Like Aaron Rodgers, players that weren't even that bad. He put Mahomes on there too. Make sure you don't draft Mahomes in fantasy.
You took the clickbait then. Oh, you took the clickbait down.
Oh no, because it wasn't even the front page. Mahomes was the 5th person that you had to scroll to. It wasn't even that. And I'm like, bro, what?
You got ESPN that just throw
insane,
you click on it.
If Matthew Berry was still employed by Disney, this would have never happened. Because whatever Matthew Berry advises you to do in fantasy, you do the exact opposite. That's why he finishes with 1 win every year in fantasy, because it's awful advice every freaking year.
What I was gonna say though is I look at this team, and not to mention like you draft Mahomes every year if you can, no matter what, whatever. But like you look at this receiving core, and it's like, why would you like? These are dudes that are going to succeed. Maybe not on other teams, but on this team, they're going to succeed. Mahomes is going to get the ball to dudes on this team. Like this is 7 deep right here of guys that could all play well for Mahomes. I don't know.
Needs to get out of there still, but
he's had good games, but it's just like crazy.
It's Kadarius Toney just drafted in 2022. That's really all it is.
He's not on the team anymore. But it's just like, what do you expect from this team? Pacheco, you have it's all there, and maybe the receiving core got deeper, and they'll use dudes all over the place. It's just good. I don't know what you want. They'll win a Super Bowl, whatever. That's how I feel about it.
Wins.
See, when you said Carson Steele, that's where I thought you were going.
I thought so
when you were doing that build-up, I thought you were trolling me.
Yep.
Oh, no. See, I thought you guys would have known this by now. I knew exactly where he was going. I saw the name. I'm like, this random guy we've never mentioned, an undrafted guy this year going through the rosters. Yet I knew Will was going there. It's a shame you guys.
Listen, you make a highlight reel with him trucking over people. Like, like you get a plus in my book there. Him, Ben Sinnott, the entire tight end class. Like, yeah.
All right. Moving on to the defense.
Yeah,
or just moving on to the schedule.
Moving on. And on defense there, L'Jarius Sneed, he's no longer there. He gets traded to the Titans. He gets paid by the Titans. They didn't really get much for him, only a 3rd-round pick and I think another mid-round pick. But, yeah, they didn't make any moves on defense for free agency. They ended up losing Willie Gay Jr., L'Jarius Sneed, as I mentioned, Mike Edwards. But another person, if you want to consider him on defense, though, they add Matt Araiza, and they do not re-sign Tommy Towson. So if Araiza is on the field, whether he is on the field for them having the punt, they got the best punter prospect of all time. Essentially, he could go from end zone to end zone with his legs. So
this is a Madden super team where you just drafting stuff for fun, or you just have players for fun. You just go like this fullback dude, and it's just like, yeah, let's just make him run over people. Yeah, let's get the best punter. Like, just stupid
Let's
stuff.
throw it behind the back here. Yeah, Madden glitches.
Everything else is good. Everything else is solid. It's fun. You're just having a good time because we're rolling over teams, whatever. You're just like playing Madden. You're just like, whatever. Let me draft a punter. Like, it's just stupid stuff like that. This team's good. That's it.
Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton, Leo Chanel, McDuffie. Chris Jones is there longer on a big extension. Karl Aftis is now slowly becoming his own. He had a great Super Bowl. Derek Namdi.
Yeah.
Mike Panel. I mean,
I gotta the schedule. Like,
I gotta just ask the question here, okay? I know I usually would say what will make this team successful, but this would be very idiotic of me to say as I'm getting yelled at by TikTok with their bullshit ass freaking stuff here. Telling me, oh, you guys aren't active. Meanwhile, we've been talking and sliding through this stuff. So the question here is, do the Chiefs have what it takes to become the first ever three-peat? We've seen multiple back-to-back winners, Cowboys and Steelers, the Packers, the first 2 Super Bowls, the Patriots, the Niners. Do the Chiefs have what it takes to become the first back-to-back Super Bowl, three-peat Super Bowl winner?
Yes. They have every opportunity to do it. The fact that now they actually have weapons for Mahomes again, like, yes, this team could definitely do it.
Yep. It's a dynasty.
AFC's loaded. Like, their division isn't good, so they could take a full advantage of their division and possibly sweep the division, which is huge for them.
This schedule's kind of gnarly to start, though. The first half is kind of crazy.
It doesn't matter, though.
No, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, like you play the Ravens, okay. You get to play Joe Burrow, which, we should have seen last year, but, injury.
They lose because he always
play prime time. You get prime time Kirk Cousins. Then you go against the Chargers week 4, 425. Then you play the Saints.
A lot easier the rest of the year.
Super Bowl rematch. I mean, they've already went to Levi Stadium and they have already lit up the 49ers. I mean, they're just going to end up probably doing it again.
They'll lose. The Niners always have their regular season.
Yeah,
that's a loss. Regular season.
God, Niners I still think this is a 13-14 win team. Like,
oh yeah. Well, last year was only 11-6. Remember, so like,
No.
you know,
I mean, now that you have Mahomes with actual like weapons and stuff, and it's not like, oh my God, is Mahomes going to do it? Now you have like a brand new receiving core, and he's just going to be like, oh hey, I'm going to throw between the legs this time, and I'm going to throw it 75 yards down the field, which is probably going to end up happening.
he's gonna punt the ball, and they're gonna get it back for a touchdown.
He's going to do the Brady and the Roethlisberger, just punting it downfield on third
Just
and
fun, just
10.
because they're having fun winning everything.
God.
I'm telling you, but Madden Super Team.
I have
just
3
having fun.
losses.
I don't know. I say they lose week 18 because at that point they're just going to rest their starters. Like,
Well, okay. 4.
yeah, like, I mean, I think the only brutal stretch is having to play a Saturday game against the Texans. Then you got to play Christmas Day, like 4 days later against the Steelers. So that's like
They cannot even play the well,
that's the most difficult stretch. Oh, and they're on the road against the Steelers too.
they might be 3-4 wins ahead of second place in this division anyway.
They could be like 5 or 6 again.
I mean, like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's
They're
no
not even-
point to even doing this right here.
they might start resting their starters halfway through that Steelers game. I don't know. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
They're good. They're really good, guys. That's that.
How many
I mean-
primetime games do they got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
17.
They got like 8 primetime games this year.
Well, I mean, you win the Super Bowl twice, and you show Taylor Swift the other 4 hours of the game. That's what happens. That's
Yeah.
that whole Super Bowl right there. Is just showing Taylor.
They showed her for like 75 seconds the entire time.
But it feels like 75 minutes.
Well,
Oh my God.
like 2 seconds one adding up.
I mean, it doesn't even. It like who cares? It's just whatever. It all goes well. I mean, whatever. It's a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's we did it. 7 long weeks, 8 long episodes. We did it. We made it through all 32 teams yet again. We talked about them in as full as we can, except the Buccaneers, because for some reason we can't extend into 10 minutes or longer. It's always 8 to 9 minutes. So, yeah, we talked about all of them. For the most part, mostly positive, some negative, some in betwixt. All of it's kind of laid out there. But follow us on our social media page down below for the Fan Network on YouTube, for the Fan Network on TikTok, Twitter, and/or X for the Fan _, Instagram for the Fan Football. Next week is the most anticipated episode. Like, we have the draft specials we love to talk about. I don't know what else is in the top 3, but number 1's always the prediction episode. It's how wrong can we be? How wrong are we going to be? Those are the most exciting ones. Those are the most, exciting ones. Colton's like, please do not pick the Commanders this year. Do not put them in your playoff thing, or the Falcons again. For the love of God, please don't do it. I can already see him doing it. I already wrote down Carson Steele's offensive rookie of the year. He's already there. But yeah, he's already out. He's gone. He left himself. But ladies and gentlemen, yeah, exciting times ahead. Do you guys have anything else to say at all, or?
I'm
No,
psyched
you
for
just
next
ruined
week.
my day.
I'm psyched for next week. Next week's fun. Next week's always a lot of fun when we have to go through that stuff.
One of the longer episodes that are at least organized. I shouldn't say, not organized. We're not organized at all.
And then week 1. I'm excited for week 1. This is going to be a good year. So, yeah.
I'm excited for fantasy. I'm excited for just watching football. I mean, yeah, I've had that void in my heart in sports ever since March Madness ended. So I'm excited that, the football schedule comes back. The sports equinox happens end of October.
Football's already back. College football started Saturday. Everyone else is playing this Saturday.
I know. I was really in tune watching the championship game between Hawaii and Delaware State. Preview of the big national championship game there.
Week 0 jokes.
I mean, Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, David, DJ, blah, 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 whatever his name was, grilled for like 4 straight hours on Twitter. So
Big upset. Yeah, I mean, look out. TikTok. I told you I'm gonna start going through some of these episodes and definitely post stuff like little clips from us, actually, not just like us posting highlights of other things. or jokes that do very, very, very well.
Probably the Broncos segment.
Well, there's
the fruit snacks one didn't go that high, but you know.
oh no, I meant jokes as in like Manti Te'o making a joke.
Oh yeah.
You know, so actually probably wasn't even a joke. But nonetheless, you know, I'll be posting some of the clips from some of these episodes that we've done, some of these previews. And if you want to tell us how wrong we are, go for it.
That's what week one's all about.
That's what week one's all about. That's what next week's about too.
But yeah, MVP, offensive, defensive players, O-Roy, D-Roy, comeback player of the year. We're going to pick, you know, a guy come back from injury and a random guy who probably hasn't played in like 15 years to win comeback player because who knows what that award is anymore. Coach of the year, playoff predictions,
Super
Bowl, bold takes on the season, everything, the whole nine yards. Jam-packed episode. We're here for it. So tune in every single Wednesday. Find us for the Fan Network, for the Fan Football. We're here. So everyone enjoy your day and yeah, go team.